Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Broken Brand. Today, we're going to take a look at India. Now, to do a little background from my limited knowledge of the study of the area over the years, just through just through contact with people from there, I live in a town near a university uh, that has a large Indian student population. I've got to know quite a few over the years, and I've got friends across the country that have come here and studied and gone elsewhere, very successful, and got to understand some of the culture things. Some of the in I They introduced me to Indian food, which I absolutely adore now. Now we have Indian restaurants in town, which is wonderful, and they are an incredible people. Huge history, huge culture that dates back as far back as a lot of major uh, regions. So at some point, I'm not sure on the history timeline, British came to India and ruled over India, colonized India, and then somewhere around in 1947, they gave up rule back to India, left, but when they did so, they also created a document that split India and Pakistan separately. And this was because this is a paraphrase of what's in there in that treaty document that established Pakistan and India. Uh, the Muslims and Hindus cannot get along. I mean, I didn't say it. I'm just paraphrasing what was just basically comes down to these two religions do not get along, so let's give them their own areas and let them be themselves. Now, culturally, this appears to be very, very still prevalent today. Pakistan and India do are not best of friends, but they are on friendly enough terms to keep the peace. There's no more attacks at this time. No skirmishes along the border. They seem to get along peacefully enough. So now, since the 40s, other religions have gone into uh, Pakistani families that have relatives in India started to convert to Islam. Missionaries went to India and started converting uh, some of the Indian people to Christianity. And there were some that decided that, you know what, we don't want any of this. We're atheists, we're agnostics. And so, what was primarily a 100% Hindu country became a more diverse religious country. Not as diverse as America. There's only four or five major religions. Literally, statistically speaking, after Hindu, which makes up 80%, and Muslim, which is like another 16, Christian is like 3%. Everything else is statistically insignificant, but there are other faiths in India. Well, the government is now becoming more militant against this. There's been religious freedom for decades now, near over almost 80 years. And now, last fall, the 10th state in India passed a law called the anti conversion law. So if you are Hindu, if you're an Indian, you are meant to be Hindu. If you convert to any other religion or just denounce Hindu to become atheist or agnostic, in 10 states in India, this can be punished for up to 3 to 5 years in jail. Yep, picking a different religion can wind you up in jail in 2024. Having a different religion, having following the religion that you choose can end you up in jail in 2024. I'm just restating it because I'm trying to make myself understand it. So, this new radical thing is called Hindutva. And Hindutva is basically Indians are Hindu, and any Indian that claims not to be Hindu is not Indian and needs to leave the country. This article here just talks about some of the Christian pastors, some of the people from the former RSS organization that attacked Christians, burnt down churches, attacked mosques, uh, attacked imams. It's just, it's crazy that in 2024 you can't have religious freedom in the world. And I know this to be true. A couple weeks ago, I talked about Belarus and how that is now, the last dictatorship in Europe. So it's not uncommon, but I'm coming at this from a United States Western perspective, religious freedom. I'm a big proponent of freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to protect yourself, freedom to do as you choose until it affects someone else. Now, if there's laws, there's consequences laws. If you sin, there's consequences to sin. That's just that's just how things work. So this will basic this push, it's not national, but it's a religious movement sanctioned by the Prime Minister of India to push out all religions that are non-Hindu. And to me, that is a very dangerous thing. This puts this is worse than political divide, because this they're basically taking people that do not believe their faith as lower and less and not part of the country, not part of their people, not part of their history, and pushing them out. I mean, if you go back and look at what Norway did with Jehovah's Witnesses, they pushed Jehovah's Witnesses out because of this type of action, disciplining their people, disciplining their people in their faith. Norway said you can't just cut them off and spit them out and leave them in the streets to be alone and survive on themselves, cut off from family, friends, and everyone they know, and take everything from them. That's what they were doing in Norway. So Norway said you don't get your religious status renewed in Norway because of that. And this is just another weird example that we're seeing of all this religious contention. And you think, oh, well, religion is the problem. Religion is not the problem. The problem is people wanting to be the one and only religion. Now, Christianity, there are some Christian factions that do take that stance, but the majority of Christians I know, including myself, we don't want we our faith tells us that it is the one and only way to God. But we Protestants have learned from the church history past of what was done wrong and how it was taken out of context and corrupted by man, and so we no longer feel the need to bully, punish, attack. We want to show you the gospel and the amazing thing that it is, the amazing word that is the truth. And if someone comes to my door and tries to tell me about Hindu or Hindi, no, Hindi's the language, sorry, about Hinduism, I may not agree with them, but I won't harm them. I won't shun them. I won't chase them off my property. I will listen, I will respond, and I will have a conversation. They're most likely not going to change my mind unless the deity, the Hindu deity, literally appeared before me. That'd be about the only way you could convince me. And I'm probably not going to convince them. But we can have a conversation and we can talk and we have a dialogue. And we start to discuss things. Then maybe we build a relationship, and over time they can see the gospel for what it truly is. This is how Christians today work. And if Hindus did the same in India, I think there would be a lot less turmoil and peace among their people. Because how can you push out some of your people because they changed faith. I mean, I have Protest I have Protestants in my family. I have Catholics in my family. I have atheists in my family. And there's not for 1 second, not 1 second hesitation in me picking up that phone if they call me. Doesn't matter who it is. They're my family. We may differ, we may disagree. I may pray for them on a daily basis, and I do. But it doesn't prevent me from being kind and loving to all the different faiths in my family, all the different faiths of my friends, because God called us to love one another. And that's where I come from a Western Christian view, from a Judaic Christian view, if you want to say it that way. But what's going on in India is going to be terrible. And you're like, well, that 2-3%, well, that's Christian. That's not that many. Um, what is it now? 15 billion, 15 million, 150 million. I mean, second second largest population in the world is India. And according to the Council of Religious Freedom, the only country that is more restrictive and violent against religious freedom in the world at this moment than India. There's only one, and it's China. So let that be put in perspective. I'm praying for all the people of India because if you are non-Hindu, you're going to be presented with a choice and turmoil and suffering. You're going to lose a lot of that. You're going to have members of their family that are crying because they won't convert back to Hinduism being pushed out of the country. You're going to have family members that are part of this RSS religious sect or this militant group that are trying to push these people out. Their own cousins, their own brothers, their own parents. And the trauma that will put on them, knowing that they attacked their own family and pushed them out of their own country, the country they were born and lived in. This is a world full of trauma coming to this country. The trauma is going to be on both sides if this movement persists. You think, oh, they'll push out all the Hindus and everything will be fine. What's next? Have we seen any cleansing of any country that has stopped? Aside from just total implosion? No. We haven't. Not to my knowledge. There's no time in history where we've seen that they've just stopped that one particular, this is our group, everyone else out. Well, then they take that group and, oh, well, they may not. And since Hinduism is a multi-god religion, what if one doesn't worship this one versus this one the most? When will that take place? That's scary, and that makes me fearful because as a human, I don't want anyone harmed. As a Christian, I want everyone saved. And people can't be saved if they're pushed out, hurt, jailed, and specifically, I'm saying all this up to lead to something worse. And you know what that is? They can't be saved if they can't hear it. That's terrifying to me. That should be terrifying as a people across the world, no matter what your religion, to see any type of totalitarian push of a religion centrifying country and denying the ability to be practice any other faith within its borders. is terrifying. I mean, it hurts me. It hurts me on an emotional and soul level that there are people that I know, there are friends I know that probably have family. I know they're Christian because this is maybe one of those weird little things you don't know. Is some of the people that were Indian that converted to Christianity have a custom of changing their surname or their first name to a biblical name. So usually when you see someone who of Indian descent nowadays, it has like the last name Paul, John, uh, Bartholomew. I've met a Bartholomew. And they are either their parents, or their grandparents converted to Christianity in India and came to America or came to another country. This is just sort of a outward outward showing that they've converted. And I've met a lot of them, and I know that a couple generations down, the grandparents they convert to Christianity. The children aren't Christians. That's their choice. But we have to be able to choose our religion. We have to find our faith. And I pray everyone here listening to this will understand that concept. And I hope this little talk through of what's going on understands that Jesus is the way. And you can push him out. You can silence him, but you can push out Christians. You can try to silence the message. It's been done throughout the centuries. And guess what? It has never been silenced. Not once. God cannot be silenced. God cannot be stopped. And God can stop this. But it's up to us to be his hands in this, to voice our concerns, our hearts towards such a abysmal policy into India. I pray for the people of India. I pray for their families that have left India, that are going to see their relatives affected by this. This is such a heartbreaking matter to me. I'd be terrified about family if I were them. I'd be terrified about someone in my family coming and pushing me out. This is a heartbreaking situation. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen. But I don't know if it's going to be stopped. I'm probably going to spend a lot of time this week studying Indian politics to see what's going on there, because it's nothing I follow. I don't really follow American politics, to be honest. So I'm not going to follow another country's politics. So what's going on is scary to me. It should be scary to you. I think we should all take time to stop, bow our heads, and pray for India, its citizens, its people outside its borders that are going to be affected by this. And we also need to learn what's going on so we can raise our voice in solidarity to prevent what could be a terrible situation. If you connect the dots, you know what I'm saying. So until next time, I love you all. There's nothing you can do about it.